Good morning, it's Valerie Ling here. I'm the person that keeps talking to you about burnout, coming to you to wish you a very, very warm Christmas greetings. May you have peaceful, joyful, warm, loving moments during this Christmas and an absolutely inspired and aspirational new year. Today is my last day of work before I take some leave. Typically, January is a time where I take clinical leave, meaning that I actually don't do any clinical work in the month of January. As a family, we take time to walk through the season of Christmas in a very mindful, meaningful, and intentional way. And as we finish the year together and as we start the new year, spending some time celebrating together as a family and also reflecting on the year gone past and committing some of our thoughts and goals for the new year together. I wanted to also come to you to tell you a little bit about the 12-month coaching program that launches in February 2020. For the last, I'd say, 5 years, I've actually been working myself out of my clinical load. So I am a clinical psychologist, and for the most part of my 20 odd years of my career, I've worked in the community and private and hospital setting as well as organizational setting, really in the area of clinical psychology, which is broad and widespread in terms of its focus, whether it's dealing with depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, and a range of other mental health issues. Good morning, Kim. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with your gingerbread house. Mine is a deconstructed gingerbread house at the moment. Anyway, back to what I was saying. And so in the last 5 years, however, because of my constant encounter with burnout, when 5 years ago there wasn't as much clarity perhaps as to what burnout really is or was, and I was noticing that clients were coming in burnt out, but coming in with a variety of diagnostic criteria from seeing other health professionals, and that's not real. It just shows the unclarity that comes with it. And working in the burnout space requires us to actually bring together our understanding of clinical and counseling principles as well as organizational principles, and bringing them together to really look at the evidence and the frameworks and the science that works in the burnout space. And we actually need both. If you're only working in the individual clinical and counseling space, then what we're actually doing is helping people to stand up again. What we also need to do is to figure out their interaction and their relationship with their work and their organization, because once they can stand up, they need to return to the environment or make some critical decisions how to negotiate the environment, and in some cases whether they need to leave that environment. And very often the things that we do and we use in the clinical and counseling space is not actually really specific enough to address that relationship and that interrelationship. And so in the last 5 years, I've actually been steadily working myself to become more and more focused in the burnout space, which brings these bodies of knowledge and clinical experience into focus. I dare say that I'm probably one of the few, I'm not going to say I'm the only one, but probably one of the few practitioners today that has a sole clinical focus in the burnout space. What does that mean when I say I have a sole clinical focus? It means that in the last 5 years, I've grown a private practice, a group private practice of several individuals now who work with me to hold the community mental health space so that I can be freed up to spend pretty much all of my professional hours thinking, researching, learning, growing, service providing in the burnout space. And that actually means that my clinical hours, clinical focus, clinical experience, and combined stories of all the individuals I have worked with in the last 5 years is so specific, so concentrated, so condensed to figure out a way to actually make sure that people are recovering from burnout in efficient and effective ways, and people are able to have prevention, relapse prevention, maintenance strategies under their belt. And so the 12-month coaching program, the absolute first time I'm doing this in a very intentional way with a group of individuals who want to work with me to maybe know how they can help others, but mostly so that they can help themselves to break the patterns and break the cycles that are systemic in burnout. And that's the thing about burnout. I often liken it to going to the dentist and dental plaque. You can go a couple of years with those layers of stress and factors circulating in your system, but there does come a point where it hits a critical fracture, particularly as life stresses compound upon us, the pace goes up, expectations increase, and the mechanisms that underlie the very reason why we started to have those vulnerabilities don't get addressed, and that fracture just widens. So earlier this year, there was a program put up by the SBS specifically addressing burnout, and you would have found that almost every single person who was in that forum actually came to a point of burnout where their own physical health was significantly impacted. And that just cascades into a level of systemic breakdown, if you like. Your health is gone, your mental health is eroding, what you can do for your family, what you can do for your relationships, what you can do in your workplace. And for many of them, it actually meant a detour to the things that they were doing that led to lasting impact. So this is the first time I'm actually bringing this, because I've been very privileged to work in this space almost exclusively, probably more so in the last 3 years. But my own diary when I'm seeing individuals then limits me for how much more I can do for other people. And then there's this thing then of I need to open my diary in chunks as you know my individual clients leave, then I can put another one in. And I just felt like 2020 was an opportunity for me to open my diary wide to bring in 6 individuals whom I know that I will make priority, and I will make an absolute commitment to walk with them and journey with them for 12 months so that they never have to fight for diary space in working with me. They never have to figure out what they need to jam pack in that 15-minute session to get the most that they can get. They know that I'm with them for that 12 months. The reason why I have an early bird is because, well, I can't burn out myself, right? My curriculum and my diary gets planned 1 quarter in advance always. And so the practice curriculum is set for 2020. And now my individual work and what I'm committing to is being bolted down as we go into the new year. And so once I know that I have those individuals that I'm going to work with, the early bird is there to encourage that. The doors close and we work very specifically and intimately together. So the early bird does close today. Let's make it midnight. If you've been sitting on the fence, I'd love for you to send me an email because I will call you. I will honor the early bird deadline today, even if you don't lock it in. If you send me an email today, the price will be locked in. And regardless of the outcome of our conversation, when I come back from leave in the new year, for us to talk about how we can work together in February. All right, I'm going to leave you here. Take care.